This lesson we're looking at constructing graphs. So when displaying a set of data, we need to remember to select the most appropriate graph and include enough details. So select the most appropriate graph and make sure we include details like our labels, our scale, and make sure you remember to put a title. So in our example, the table shows the number of students in each year group at a local high school. Represent the data on a divided bar graph and a sector graph. So we're going to do our divided bar graph as a 15 centimeter graph, and our sector graph, if we think about a circle, that is going to be out of 360 degrees. So when we work this out, the first thing we need to do is actually calculate the total number of students in all year groups. And if we add all of that together, we get 1,080. This becomes our denominator when working out everything we need to here. So for our divided bar graph, it's going to be 210 divided by 1,080 multiplied by how big our bar is, which is our 15 centimeters. And if we were to type that in, we get 2.9. And we're going to do the same thing for each of these year groups. So 190 over 1080 times 15, which gives us 2.6, 240 over 1080 times 15, which is 3.3, 180 over 1080 times 15 gives us 2.5, 150 over 1080 times 15 is 2.1, and 110 over 1080 times 15 is 1.5. So that's our divided bar graph. We're going to do the exact calculations for a sector graph, except instead of timesing by 15, we're going to multiply by 360. So 210 over 1080 times 360, that's going to give us 70 degrees. So remember, these are angles. So 190 over 1080 times 360 is going to give us 63 degrees. 240 over 1080 times 360 is 80 degrees. 180 over 1080 times 360 is 60 degrees. 150 over 1080 times 360 is 50 degrees, and 110 over 1080 times 360 is 37 degrees. Now be mindful when you're doing your sector graph and your divided bar graph that when you add all of these numbers up, you need to make sure that they add to what it should be. So do these numbers add to 360? Do these numbers add to 15? That's really important to check, especially with your rounding. You might need to go back and look at some of those rounding. So now what we're going to draw is our divided bar graph. Oops. So I've already drawn my bar graph and I've divided it into 1 centimeter sections just to make it a little bit easier with doing this on the video straight away. So if I'm looking at this first one, I need it to be 2.9. So 1, 2, and then 2.9 is going to be just part or almost at that end line there. So this would be year 7. Year 8 is going to be 2.6. So I think I've got 0.1 here. So there's 2 and then a half. So halfway. So that's year 8. Next is 3.3. So if I go to 3, I'm going 1, 2, 3. And then I need 0.3. So it's going to be 2 shy. So that's going to be year 9. Year 10 is 2.5, so if we go 1, 2, and then a half, so it's going to be just past. And if you've got a ruler, obviously you can do this a lot more accurately, and that's what you should be doing. Year 11 is 2.1, but I'm going to come in from the end 1.5, just to make that a little bit easier to work out. So this is year 11, and then this would be year 12. We need to give it a title, so our title will be Students at a local high school, as that's what the information is about, and that's back in our example question. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to draw our sector graph. Now, I'm going to use the ruler on here with my degrees in it. You would use a protractor to do this, but there's not one on here, so this is the next best thing that I can do right now. So what we're going to do, if we looked at year 7 was at 70 degrees. So if you've got your line, you would line up your protractor and you would put it above here and you would measure around until you got to 70 degrees. So it's around here somewhere, but I'm just going to use the ruler to get to my 70 degrees and then I can draw my line in. Be mindful as well when you draw your circles, try and use your compass so that you're going to get an accurate circle. So that would be year 7. And then you're going to work your way around to do your year 8, year 9, and all the way through. So if we're looking at that, I need to go year 8 is 63 degrees. So if I'm going from 0, I'm going to go this way. 63 is going to be this one. Oops. So that is going to be year 8. Year 9 is 80 degrees. So I need to go to... It's going to be tricky now. If I go... Sorry, I'm going to mix it around. I'm going to go back this way, 10 degrees. So that means that this section here is going to be my year 9 section. And then I have year 10, year 11, and year 12. Now, this is not going to work exactly how I want, but if you were to measure that in, you would then have year 10, year 11, and year 12 using your protractor. Obviously, is a lot easier than trying to use this ruler that I'm using here. And then again, you need to make sure you have a title. So you can use the exact same title. Students at a local high school. Okay, so make sure you label your divided bar chart or your sector graph with the titles. Make sure you actually give the graph itself a title, and make sure you measure accurately with your measuring tools, whether that be a protractor or a ruler.